Every year I have the tradition of taking a photo. I take a photo of my family gathered for Christmas, and I take the photo without any use of a cell phone. I take the photo without any use of a camera. I take the photo with my mind. I always have the tradition of trying to capture an image of my family each and every year when we gather for Christmas. And so yesterday, when I had the opportunity to join my family for a few hours to partake in conversation and, of course, lively debates, as families always do, I had the moment, a brief moment, where I was able to take that photo. I was able to get that image in my mind of family. And it was an image of my mother sitting in her chair. She's the one that sits there. And we all know that, and we honor that, and we respect that, and why, that's where we expect her to be. But she was sitting there in this chair, and she was holding her newest great-granddaughter, Cecilia, 6 months old. And the image was the two of them just kind of sitting there. Both of them with their eyes closed a bit. It marveled that both of them could do this in the midst of all the noise. But their eyes were closed, and Cecilia, a little 6-month-old baby, why, she had her tiny little hand wrapped tightly around my mother's thumb. And it's an image of family that I was able to take for that brief moment. And I share it with you tonight because I think oftentimes we think to be a holy family that somehow it means that we have to be on that road to perfection. Holiness is not perfection. Holiness is what we find in today's gospel, and what I discovered in that brief little photo that I took of my mother and her great-granddaughter with their eyes closed but with their hands together. Why, holiness, family holiness, is not discovered in perfection. Family holiness is not found in, premature judgments of failure. Family holiness is not found in self-congratulatory judgments of success. But family holiness is found in that delicate balance, that delicate tension between hanging on and letting go. Let me repeat that. Family holiness is being able to live that delicate balance and that tension of hanging on and letting go. Cecilia, my grandniece, hung on to her great-grandmother for life. The tiny little hand wrapped tightly around her great-grandmother's hand and fingers. There are some things that we have to hang on to. Why, it's the tension that exists in the gospel today with Jesus and Mary and Joseph. Why, Jesus believes he's ready for prime time. His mother and dad think differently. Parents, you know the tension, don't you? Sure you do. You've lived it. When do I hang on to them, and when do I need to let go of them? It's the tension that exists with Mary and Joseph, with the not so small Jesus anymore. Today he's, as we heard in the gospel, 12 years old. He thinks he's ready for prime time. He is wanting his parents to let go so that he might be where he needs to be, in his Father's house. And yet there's something about Mary and Joseph, and there's something about Jesus that still needs that there still needs some hanging on that needs to be done. There's still some teaching that needs to take place. And of course, Luke tells us that Jesus then went with his parents. He was obedient to them, and he grew. He grew in age. He grew in wisdom. He grew in favor. And growth happens when we know when to hang on and when to let go. Cecilia was hanging on, but I'm well aware of my mother's needing to let go and how beautifully she's done that over the years. Why, she had to let go of 10 of us crazy children, hoping that we would try to figure it out along the way. She had to let go nearly 25 years ago of her husband who died suddenly of a heart attack. She's now having to let go of some of her dear friends because of age that are going before her. But nonetheless, she lets go. And you and I hang on. We need to do both. There are some things we need to hang tightly to. It's those values that are taught us by our families. It's those encounters that we have that teach us what love is truly about. It's those moments, those graced moments where we begin to discover that even though our families are oftentimes messy, that at the center there's grace. And there's always grace at the center. Even though we tend to box one another in the center, we will find the grace that is needed. And there's those moments where all of a sudden we see those graced moments where indeed we recognize that, well, that God is present in that moment, that God is found in that encounter that we have with family and with others. And we hang on to those moments. We hang on to those encounters. We need to hang on to those values because they've made us who we are. As St. John tells us today, we are God's children now. Those are the moments, those are the encounters that we hang on to. And then to be a family that is holy, we need to learn how to let go. Not just of loved ones when they die, not just of children when they need to leave the nest, but we also need to let go of, well, those moments and those encounters where there was hurt, those moments and those encounters where there was frustration, the moments and the encounters where when we got really to the point of getting angry and upset and mad with one another. And it is oftentimes in those moments and those encounters that we continue to hang on with those grudges and somehow seem to think that perhaps maybe through time they'll fix themselves. And well, they don't, because of course we keep hanging on to them. And those are the encounters. Those are the moments we need to let go of. So we come tonight and we celebrate the feast of the Holy Family. We celebrate Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, and the example that they offer to us. But my friends, they were not a perfect family either. But they were a holy family. They were a holy family not just because Jesus was God, but they were a holy family because they learned that delicate balance. They learned how to live in the tension of hanging on and letting go. Let us do the same so that our families might always be holy.